Alan, I'm Doris from American Income Life Company, and I talked to you yesterday about your insurance benefits through your brother Mark with the FOP. By the way, is Nancy here? These benefits apply to her as well. Do you mind if we sit at the table? Because I have to go over your benefits with the both of you. Alan, if you don't mind, you'll sit here, and Nancy, if you can sit here, I'll go ahead and sit here. Now, did you talk with Mark to find out what he has done for you and your family and why I'm here today? No? Okay, I'll back up and fill you in on what's going on. As you know, your brother Mark is a member of the FOP. And I don't know if you're familiar with unions like the firemen, electricians, Teamsters, and federal employee unions, but I'm sure that you heard they have some of the best benefits out there, right? Well, AIL is the unionized company that provides the benefits for all these unions and associations. And since Mark is a member in good standing with the FOP and the American Income, he was allowed to extend some of his benefits to his family members and people who are close to him. Do you know the difference between temporary benefits and permanent benefits? We all have great benefits through our work, but when we leave, quit, or retire from our jobs, we lose all or a bulk of our benefits within 31 days. However, your brother Mark did an amazing thing for you guys. If you qualify today, you will now have permanent benefits that will follow you, and no one can ever take these away from you. So make sure and thank him. Alan, what do you do for work? And how long have you been doing that? Nancy, where do you work? How long have you been there? Alright, now here's a copy of the letter the FOP members received, and like it says in the letter, my job is to bring by your benefits and explain your options. When I'm finished, they have you fill out this report card. That'll go back to the FOP and AIL, so they'll know I've been here and done my job. Is that fair? As the letter explains, they have me here for 3 reasons. To inform you about the food banks, to explain the benefit package which your brother Mark had you qualified, and to see if you qualify for anything permanent. The things they have set up for members and their family. So now let me ask you, have either of you been unemployed or laid off? The reason I ask is that American Income collects food for members in a time of need. So they ask, while we're here, if you would like to donate a can or 2 of food or some dry goods. If that's something you'd like to do, just remind me before I leave. Alan and Nancy, this is your AD&D certificate, and this covers you when you die in any type of accident. American Income is the company that covers this benefit for you. It's non-contributory and it's non-participating, which means you don't have to pay for it or qualify for it because Mark extended this to you, and it's already been taken care of. Pretty nice, huh? So Alan, you'll want to verify here that you want Nancy to be your beneficiary. I'll put your certificate in your folder so that when something happens, you'll have proof of it. Does that make sense? This is your health discount card. It's not health insurance. This card is no cost and will give you discounts on vision, prescriptions, hearing, and chiropractic services. Here's the service number. Here's the website. And it lists the website lists all the providers in your area. So you would go ahead and fill out this middle section, and they will send you a card so that you can start receiving the discounts. Pretty nice benefit, huh? Now these are your child safety kits. Are you familiar with Amber Alerts? Police in our communities are actively searching for 2,000 children each and every day. This is a vital tool. Heaven forbid anything will happen to you or to happen to your children. So some things you'll want to list in pencil, like height and weight, so that you can keep it updated. You'll put the personal information here, physical description here, birthmark, scars, glasses, or braces, and then you will want to attach a hair sample here, pulling it out by the follicle, and then this is an ink strip so that you can actually get your children's fingerprints on this card. You attach a photo here, age and date photo was taken, and you store this in your freezer. In that way, in a stressful situation, if you have to try and find it, you would know that it's in a fireproof location, and you'll remember that it's in the freezer, which makes it very, very efficient. So you have a will set up, right? This is your family information guide. It's not a will, but it's so important to fill out. So when something happens to your family, your family will know exactly what to do. After you fill this out, you want to put this in a safe place here at home. There's one for each of you. On top is where you put your vital information: name, birthday, social. Have either of you been in the military? Okay, that information would go here. Persons to be notified. This is the most important part. Did you know millions of dollars goes unclaimed in life insurance each year because either the family doesn't know about the insurance, they don't know how to make a claim, or the company can't find the beneficiary? So what they're saying is that you put down 5 people each that are in your local area that can be there to help your family out immediately when something happens to you. So who are the top 5 people in the local area that can help in the event of an emergency or death? And your estate information goes here. And you do have life insurance outside of work, right? If it is to work, make sure to put it in pencil because it's temporary. This part is for your financial institution information, and you use checking or savings. List that information here because when you die, someone in your family has to close your accounts. Here are your final funeral service requests, and this is very important. Have either of you had to plan a funeral? Do you want cremation or burial? Either way, it's very expensive. And remind me before I go, because part of the program takes care of all your final expenses, but you will need to qualify for that. Do you see how important this guide is? After you fill this out, you can take it to the bank and have it notarized, and it actually becomes a legal document. Now, because Mark is a member in good standing with the FOP, they're allowing you to extend the same no-cost benefit package to people in your life that are going to, and that's going to help out when something happens. So they're going to be receiving the same $2,000 AD&D certificate, the health service discount card, family information guide, and child safety kits of their own. Now they do have to qualify. They have to be over 21, live in New Mexico, and be employed. Most members extend this to all their brothers and sisters, parents, close friends. How many adult brothers and sisters do you have? Who's the oldest? What's their first name? Who's next? Okay, what's your father's name? Your mother's name? How many adult children do you have over 21? Who's the oldest? What neighbors have children for the child safety kits? And who else? Okay? Now, we'll need their mailing address. All right. And you do text, right? Okay, I'm going to send you a text and let me know once you get it. Okay, now go ahead and forward that text to everyone that you extended these great benefits to. That way they'll have a heads up. All right, and since your brother Andrew lives in the area, let's go ahead and give him a call so we can fill him in. I'll wait while you do that. Okay, put him on speaker. Hi Andrew, this is Doris Robinson with American Income, and they do many of the permanent insurance benefits for union groups, police officers, firefighters, and veterans. And I'm sitting here with your brother Alan, and he arranged for you to receive a no-cost AD&D policy and benefit package. My job is to get it delivered to you so that you can have it for your records and know what to do when something happens. There's a certificate of coverage that I need to drop off to you along with some benefits he was able to recommend you for, and it's very important. What's the best time to drop this off to you and Mira? Do you live at 1038 La Cienega? Great. What shifts are you and Mira working these days? Great. I can take care of this for you today. 4 or 5? Okay. I'll see you then. Alan and Nancy, since you didn't find out exactly what your brother Mark did for you, I'll back up a bit. Now, as they mentioned in the letter, there's a program they've set up for the members. In fact, this is the Labor Advisory Board. It consists of 54 international labor and association leaders. They're very important because what they do is help advise and make recommendations as to where the gaps in your benefits are and what benefits people need. They've asked us to read this letter to each of the members, and since Mark sponsored you, I'll read it to you. You see, that's the reason they were chosen to do the program for the unions, because they realized that typically 31 days after you leave your job, get laid off or retire, you can lose all your insurance benefits or they greatly reduce. These are permanent and portable insurance benefits, and if you qualify, you keep them for the rest of your life. Pretty nice, huh? In fact, they don't just work with police, firefighters, and teachers. They work with 40,000 groups, are rated A+, and have over 5 million members are enrolled. So they must be doing something right, wouldn't you say? But just because your brother Mark extended these benefits to you doesn't mean you're automatically allowed to enroll. You do have to qualify. If you're too high risk, they can't let you in, so they have me ask you a couple of questions just to make sure. Have you ever had any arrests, including DUI? Either of you? Have either of you used any tobacco or marijuana in the past 12 months? Do you take any prescription medications? Have you ever had any health issues in your lifetime? Any family history of cancer, diabetes, or heart disease? Okay, well, based on what you've told me, I'm not sure if you've qualified yet, but you do have a chance, so I can at least explain the benefits to you. The needs analysis determines need based on 3 things: family situation, benefits you already have, and based on your income. So what they have me do is ask you a couple of questions to see exactly what you qualify for. Alan and Nancy, did Mark fill you in on the Hour Power program? He didn't? Okay, well, Hour Power is a very old principle that says members should take the first 1 hour of their weekly wage and set it aside to protect themselves and provide for their family's future. Now, 1 hour of your wage each week is roughly 1/40th of your income on a weekly basis, right? And that's not going to change your lifestyle any, is it? Of course not. Any financial planner will tell you to set aside 10 to 15% of your income. Your program is based on 1 hour, which is only 2.5%, so all the members can afford it. Now, provided that you qualify, they allow you to set aside between $20 and $100 a week. Every member has different situations and different hourly wages. What I'm obligated to do is show you what setting aside your 1 hour combined will do and what kind of protection that will provide. Then, when I'm done, the FOB would like to have your opinion on this report card that goes directly back to them. Is that fair? So Alan, what do you make an hour? And Nancy, what do you make an hour? Now what I'm going to do is show you what setting aside $30 a week will do for your family. Just like in any other enrollment period, provided that you can qualify, there are forms that need to be filled out in person while I'm here, and that's not something we can do later over the phone. So be sure to stop me anytime you have any questions. Is that fair? Now, they're concerned with 3 major areas: accidental injuries, final expenses, and paycheck protection. The first area they're concerned with is when you're injured in any type of accident. Have either one of you thought about what you will do when you get injured in an accident? Well, the Labor Advisory Board and American Income have given it a lot of thought, and their concern isn't that your medical bills won't be taken care of because you have health insurance for that. When it's job related, then workers' compensation is there, and a lot of members have some form of disability. What they are concerned with is lost wages and other expenses that start adding up. Alan, when you end up in the hospital, even though your medical bills are taken care of, no one pays you to be there. Nancy, when you get that phone call, obviously you won't be working either. You will be by his side, and vice versa. God forbid something happens to any of your children. In that case, no one is working, right? Alan, when you, Nancy, or any of your kids get hurt and have to go to the emergency room, they're going to send you up to $100 just for taking the time to go get the injury looked at. That's for any kind of accident, whether you scrape your knee, need stitches on, or off the job. That money comes to you here at home. The only exception is that when you have to stay overnight in the hospital, they're going to send you $100 a day for up to a full year. That ends up being $700 a week. Now, let me ask you, when that money comes in, will that help your family? Yes, of course it will. Now, the only exception to that is when you have to stay in intensive care. They're going to send you $200 a day for up to 2 full weeks. The reason why it's $1,400 a week is because usually when you're in intensive care, it's a life or death situation. Does that make sense? Now, the second area they're concerned with was your final expenses. Now, Alan, who's going to be responsible for taking care of your funeral and final expenses when something happens to you? Now, let me ask you, have either of you ever had to plan a funeral? The reason I ask that is because it's a very serious problem. Now, the concern is not the fact that you're going to die, because we all will, right? But when we die, someone in our family has to face a funeral director immediately. Funeral directors these days require all or the bulk of the money up front, on the spot, before they start doing anything. Or they at least want to know where the money's going to come from. Did you realize that? A lot of people don't. So while your family is waiting for life insurance to come in, who has to take care of things in the meantime? That's right, the family. Or you, Nancy, They either have to take the money out of savings if you have it, or worse yet, borrow it. Does that make sense? So now what they've done is set up the Freedom of Choice certificate to take care of your final expenses. If you qualify, each of you will receive your own certificate that looks just like this. Now, they call it Freedom of Choice because it's good at any funeral home. The way this works is when something happens to you, Alan, then Nancy, you take this certificate to any funeral home you choose, and when the funeral director looks at you and says, I'm really sorry for your loss, Alan's funeral is going to be $6,000, how would you like to take care of that today? At that point, you say, Alan has the freedom of choice. Everything is taken care of from that point on. Alan, in your case, they've set aside $15,000. Nancy, in your case, they've set aside $15,000 to take care of your funeral and final expenses. What's not used at the funeral home gets sent directly to the beneficiary. Now let me ask you, Alan and Nancy, isn't it nice to finally have this taken care of for your family? Each of the kids are covered for a $10,000 benefit that can be converted to $50,000 at age 21 regardless of their health or habits. That they can keep for the rest of their lives. That's pretty nice, huh? Now the only exception to this is when you die before the age of 65. It will typically be in some kind of accident, right? Alan, when something happens to you in any type of accident, not only will they immediately take care of all your final expenses, but they're going to send your family an additional $10,000 to help out during that time. When we die in an accident, what kind of accident will it be? That's right, probably a car accident. In that case, they're going to send an additional $5,000 plus take care of all the final expenses. And when traveling on a common carrier, like a bus, plane, or train, they will send an additional $5,000 to the family. Each of your children are covered for $3,000 for the same accidental deaths. Does that make sense? The third problem they're concerned about is your paycheck. Alan, you're on your way home from work and you get killed in a car accident or pass away from a stroke or heart attack. Is your paycheck going to keep coming to support Nancy and the family? Of course not. Your paycheck vanishes just like that. But taking care of the family, putting food on the table, paying the bills, all those stay pretty much the same, right? So Nancy, the bills keep coming in month after month and Alan's paycheck's gone, right? But let me ask you, you do have life insurance, right? Hopefully $700,000. The FOP realizes that all members do have life insurance, but here's what happens in a typical situation. When you die, your family immediately has to start dipping into those lump sums. First for reimbursement of your burial and miscellaneous expenses, and then because your paychecks have stopped coming in. You have to keep dipping into your savings to pay bills and put food on the table, and then a year or two later, what happens to all that money? That's right, it's completely disappeared and it's gone. So, here's your paycheck protection or readjustment income. Alan, when something happens to you, they're going to start sending Nancy a paycheck the very next month and every single month after that for a minimum of 1 full year. Now, the reason they choose at least a year is because you need a decent time to adjust. A couple of months just isn't enough time. Does that make sense? What they're going to do in your case, Alan, when you die, is they're going to start sending Nancy $3,000 every single month for 3 years for any cause of death. Nancy, when something happens to Alan and they send you and your family that check every month, will that give your family time to adjust? Of course it will. Now, Nancy, you'll be in a position that when that does happen, you take the money you receive and get it invested for your future, your children's education and retirement. Does that make sense? And Nancy, when something happens to you, Alan will receive the $3,000 for 3 years. Now, this does build an emergency fund. After 3 years, if everything ever gets tight financially, there will be some money to help take care of your program during that time so you don't lose it. There's also paid up benefits. So when you retire, you can stop contributing to the program and keep a reduced paid up final expense benefit for the rest of your life. Pretty nice, huh? Have you ever thought about what you will do when you're diagnosed with a terminal illness? Well, they put a lot of thought into it. In fact, they're realizing you're going to need a lot of cash. When you're diagnosed with a terminal illness and not expected to live more than 10 years, they're going to send you half of the final expense and paycheck protection. The other half will come to your family after you're gone. There's a strike and layoff clause so that you can't lose your program. In fact, in case of a union strike, they'll take care of your insurance benefits for you for up to a year, and you'll never have to pay it back. Alan, even if you can't work just 1 day because of a strike, they will take care of your benefits not only for a week, which is $750, but for the whole month, which is $3,000. And on layoffs, as long as you've been working for the past 12 months, they will take care of your program for up to 3 months and you'll never have to pay it back. Pretty nice, huh? Also, the insurance benefits are guaranteed and non-cancelable, which means if you qualify that no matter what happens in the future to your health, age, or habits, no one can ever take this away from you. Does that make sense? Now, I've showed you what setting aside 1 hour will do for your family. Let's review it to make sure it's clear. Your accidental injury benefits are there for your family. Your freedom of choice certificate covers you and Nancy and the children for any cause of death and is there until it needs to be used. Your paycheck protection and all your protections on the side here make sure that no matter what happens moving forward, you never have to lose your benefits after today, even if you change jobs, get very sick, or move. Again, can you see why these are so important for your family? Now, my job, because of what your brother Mark did for you, is to give you an opportunity to get enrolled in what you qualify for. The best part is that they set this up like a payroll deduction, but they do it once a month through your very own checking account. That way, when you change jobs or retire, you never have to worry about losing the insurance benefits because they're under your control, not your employers or the union. That's pretty nice, huh? Alan and Nancy, let's face it, we're all going to die. We don't have a choice. Either we deal with this now, or someone in your immediate family, your brother, your sister, your child, will have to deal with this when something happens. Does that make sense? Now, you will have to answer some medical questions to see if you can even qualify. But probably the most important question I need to ask you, when something happens to both of you, say in a bad car wreck, there will be a little over $7,500. Who do you want that money to go to? Now, it doesn't make a difference to them which program you try to qualify for. Most families try to qualify for their 1 hour combined, which is what we went over with you, and some families ask if they can do more and set aside more for their family and double their benefits. Or sometimes members choose a more basic program just to get started, and they know they'll upgrade down the road, provided they still qualify. Which way do you want to go? And while you're thinking about which options make the most sense, I'll go ahead and ask you the medical questions to make sure you even qualify.